Hi. Oh, and a cutie. I'm trying to decide right now if I'm going to sit or stand, so excuse the looking up and down. But yes, I'm Tammy. All of those things that you heard, I didn't actually make them up, so I feel kind of good right now when I hear them. I say, wait, Tammy, that's okay. So I'm having a moment right now, and I feel good about it because prior to that, I was losing my shit. Can I say shit? I should have asked that before. Yeah, so I, for some reason, woke up this morning and I was so anxious. I'm a Virgo, so I prepared what I was going to say from like either last week or the week before that. And then this morning, I wake up and I couldn't remember nothing. And I'm looking at everything that I put down and I'm like, me not like this again. None of this not make sense. This not gonna work. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to create something else to talk about. You know how God work. This brethren of mine who follows me on Twitter just messaged me out of the blue and said, tell me what going on, man, just run for you. What you have going on today? And I said, boy, I God send you because I really don't have much going on right now. The whole of the marble, them drop out and I roll across the floor. Like, I don't know what's going on. And him say, what is stressing you? And I told him, I have this thought this evening. It's about mental health. I don't feel good about nothing that I did plan to say before. I want to change it. And he's like, Tammy, you talk about mental health every day. It no matter what you say, you talk about it all the time. It will come. So I said, all right, I'm going to try work with it. He gave me some tips. And he said, write down what you want to say on paper because, you know, you're a physical, kind of tangible person. Write it down. And I was like, I thought about that. But Antoinette told me it's kind of like a TED Talk. And me never see nobody on TED Talk with no paper yet. So the people, them are going to think some done. And he's like, Tommy, them are going to think you're human. So I say, all right. So this is me being human, guys. So as I just said, I speak about mental health ad nauseum. And that is partly by choice and also just by divinity. I happen to know mental health inside and out. Again, not by choice, just because I saw me end up in a life, you know? Like whatever journey, whatever soul contract I did sign before I come here, it clearly has something to do with mental health. So I have experienced mental health issues. I was diagnosed as bipolar. That comes with anxiety and depression. For me, not for everybody. So I can rapid cycle from being very manic to being very depressed or to going into the walls with anxiety. Or all of the above. You know, like you go to KFC and you buy a 3-piece and then you might get a 4-piece one day when God come. Yeah, that is me. And it's not like that every day. Some days are fantastic. But then there are some days when shit hits the fan. And because I've had to navigate that experience, I've learned a lot about mental health in general. Not only that, but my mother is schizophrenic. I also have a younger sister who is schizophrenic. I dated a young man who has personality disorder. So, anyway you're there on the spectrum, from your out there so me can see it. And it's a blessing and a curse. Because everybody has something going on. And it's not necessarily something that needs to be diagnosed. It's just one of those things. Based on how we grow up, the environments that we live in, all kind of things can happen. But all of us have like some kind of fracture in the psyche somewhere. And if you go around looking for it, you'll see it. And that colors your experience a lot. So we're not going to really talk about people and issues. We're just going to talk about, well, as usual, I'm going to use myself as the scapegoat and teach you about mental health through what I've learned, which I had to do by studying myself and studying my interactions with other people. Because there were times when I was not at the best mental health. So I'm just going to give you some talking points because I'm a really pretty speech day, a she speaks day. So, she go talk. So, my medical history, I just explained that. And that is a tricky thing to navigate, as you can imagine. I've also had that used against me in a number of settings. I've had it used against me at school. I've had it used against me in relationships. You know, you might have a one cheating boyfriend here and there who say, nah man, that never did happen. You sure say I know because you think about some kind of depressing thing. Yeah, like though I've had it used against me in those kind of settings. I've been at work and happened to walk in on a lunchroom conversation about the mental health blogger girl who kind of mad, and that's why she have to write these things. Needless to say, I left that job without a proper resignation because I went to the, what you call them people there where you go to when you have a problem? HR. So I went to the man. Would you believe the man tell me, say, it's because I don't have no man. Why? The man said that I don't have a man, and that's why I'm depressed, because if I had a man, I wouldn't have Isla ride me for fly up in my head. So I'm just like, but I thought that I was supposed to come to you to report the person. You're actually worse than the person. Yeah, it was a man. I mean, I don't mean to say it like that, no offense to the men, but y'all can say some crazy things sometimes. And I believe I have a right to use the word crazy. I'm just giving all of the credentials. So, men, you can say some crazy things sometimes. Yeah, the head of HR, actually said that to me. And with a straight face, as if he believed the theory, I'm going to say, oh, you get the work here because I don't understand. It's a family business. Nobody can fire him. So anyway, I left that job. And I just giving you these little examples to show you that there are things that we do and say, and we don't really think about them. That is how stigma manifests in everyday life. Stigma is a very harmful thing. Stigma can cause people to really go in on themselves negatively, which they're already doing. If you have any kind of mental challenge, you don't necessarily have to have a diagnosed mental health issue to speak to yourself unkindly in your head. I think we all do that. Now imagine if you are battling something and thinking that you're damaged goods, or having people use that against you, being shamed for it, being afraid to go to the doctor. All kinds of things can happen. None of them are good. It can even end in suicide attempts, which I don't know if many people know because enough people not talk about this, but Jamaica's suicide rate has been climbing for the last 5 years. It has been climbing, and also a number of young people have said they consider suicide. It is very normal. We did a survey with JAMHAN, which is Jamaica Mental Health Advocacy Network, for those of you who don't know. We did a survey, I believe it was in 2016 or so, with a couple of high schools. I think it was about 15 high schools. I don't remember the final figure of students that we interviewed, but it was from first form to fifth form. 85% of them had either already considered suicide, attempted suicide, or thought about it at least once. I think that's very alarming, considering the fact that those are the people who are going to replenish the workforce and the society after. So we're going to talk about stigma. We're going to talk about why stigma is harmful and what we can do generally. But let me circle back to the original point, which is the whole idea of mental health. And when I say that, I don't want you to be scared. Open floor, open discussion. Mental health is something that we all have. In the same way that we all have physical health, we have mental health. It's a continuum. So you can either be here where you're in perfect mental health. You can be over here at the other end where you have mental illness. You can be somewhere in the middle where you have some kind of distress. And that can either make you ill or just make you unable to function as you normally would. And that is how you know when you have a mental health challenge. If you can't function the way that you normally would function, if it is prohibiting you from the way that you interact with people, the way that you work, how you make money, that is when it's a real problem that you need to go and check it out. That not to belittle any kind of challenge that you would have otherwise, but those more kind of teeter on the normal side of things, because there are stresses in everyday life and we respond to it. We have emotional response, spiritual, physical, all kind of things, because we live in our bodies, so we carry stress in our bodies. We also carry them in our minds. So When me just flick through the paper a little bit, I can't really do the two things them. Don't look for me like that, please. So, as you can imagine, it's not been an easy journey going through this and having to decide that, okay, in order to combat the whole stigma thing, I may have to put myself out there as the face of this thing. And it's not something that I kind of actively did either. It was frustration. I was always running into walls. I was always dealing with people who were trying to use it against me, trying to shame me for it. I actually started my blog after that experience in the lunchroom. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go with the rap battle approach. When I watch 8 Mile, when Eminem, like the man that was going to cuss him decided to say it first, and then the person never have nothing to say, I decided that was going to be my approach. And I have been doing that ever since. It's not an easy thing to do. Thank you. It's not an easy thing to do at all. There are some days that I absolutely don't want to do it. And there are some days when I don't think about it. I'm just doing me, and then people bring it to you a certain way, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to represent. Yeah, so it's one of those things. But I'm learning, and as I'm learning, I'm sharing. And that is the reason why I'm here now. It's not necessarily because I'm some kind of big mental health expert. I just attack the thing that I'm find out. I had to study myself to help myself, and I decided that there may be other people going through the same thing. So I'm going to share it with them. It has been resonating, so I'm going to also share a few things with you that I have learned. A couple of points still, maybe about 8. I'm just going to skip through them. Don't worry, it's not all of this, I just write big. Oh, wait, page there. I need an assistant. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, back to stigma now. Stigma is a thing that people create in their minds because I see it as otherness. You think that that person over there have that problem. Me not have it and me can't have it. That's why you discriminate. That's why you draw a line between yourself and that person. But I am really here to tell you today that that is ridiculous. There is no otherness. First and foremost, we're all people, so we're all human. We have bone, we have blood, we have a brain. You know, we're made of the same earth, same stardust, same everything. So, as separate as you may think you are from me, you're not. So anything that can reach me can reach you. So that is one of the reasons why it doesn't make sense for you to have any kind of stigma. And we first learned about that in the Bible, where there was, I don't remember which passage, nobody crucified me a long time ago at church, but some part in the Bible, God said, I am that I am. And I used to hear that when I was younger and say, that sounds like foolishness. But as I got older and I thought about it, I realized that there was a comma missing. It's not I am that I am. It is I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. So I'm like, oh, everything is connected. I am a part of the whole. And that is how it made sense to me. So, my advice in managing your mental health, as well as helping somebody who might need to manage theirs, is first, learn yourself so you can check in with yourself. Take care of yourself. Know how to support yourself. Know how to love yourself. When you're good at that, you will be better able to notice when somebody around you needs an extra hand. Listen to understand, don't listen to reply. That is something that I notice almost everybody does. You listen, but while you're listening, you're kind of zoning out to figure out how you're going to answer the person. Or, alternatively, you're listening with a preconceived judgment in your mind. You already have some kind of expectation that you think is going on that person's side. So, you already have planned the response to that. Just clean the slate and listen. That is very, very important. And the only way to do that is to practice doing it with yourself first. A lot of us don't stop and listen to ourselves. And that is the cause for a lot of issues that we may have. How you listen to yourself, if you can't hear your thoughts, then just shut everything down and feel it because your body will tell you. Either your gut go tell you, your hair going raise, your palm going sweat, your mouth going get, something is going to change and you're going to notice, but you have to pay attention. If you don't know how to support someone in need, next point, if you don't know how to support somebody in need, just ask them. We always think that we know everything and we're afraid to say that we don't know a lot of the times. I don't know why, because Google are my best friend. If you see the foolishness that when me Google, you would be alarmed. I'm telling you, I've Googled some real foolishness. But we are here to learn. So there is no shame in not knowing something. And it doesn't matter how long you know somebody or how close you are or how not close you are to them. There is always something about them that you're not going to know. There are things about yourself that you don't even know yet. So if you don't know how to be that friend, be that shoulder, then ask the person what they need. And if it is a case where the person is unable for some reason, maybe they're exhausted, maybe they're too depressed to figure it out and it feels like work to them, then show up and stay. That's a very good way to be supportive. If they don't want to talk, sit down beside them and say, you know what, I'm not move. You need somebody to be there, I'm there. It's a very literal thing. Even in our culture, in Jamaica, we say, oh, so-and-so there. What they mean? There, present, on location. That is what it means to be supportive. What else now? Yeah, talk to yourself the way that you would talk to your best friend when they're down, the way that you would talk to a child who just failed a test, the way that you talk to a plant that you're trying to grow, the way that you talk to the ackee tree when I bear from last year and you want some ackee to eat. Speak to yourself with love and kindness. Once you cultivate that habit within yourself, it will be very easy for you to reflect that to others. If you are not used to doing that with yourself, then that is when there's a fracture and anything can go on with other people because you're terrible to yourself. So start on the inside. And my next point is for people who actually experience any kind of mental health challenge, or you're in the middle of the spectrum or you're at the end, you have had mental illness before, you have crashed into the wall. Just know that you're fine. You're okay. You're going to be okay. You can be okay. We are not designed to have positive thoughts every second of the day. I think about my mind as kind of like a conveyor belt, and the thoughts are just like products, just running down it. If something interrupts it, one of the products will go over there, so one will go drop on the floor. It's just one of those things. But if you stay aligned and balanced, then things will flow the way that they should. So understand that you are okay. You can be okay. If you can't do it alone, then get some help. And also understand that having any kind of challenge, it doesn't make you a problem. It doesn't make you damaged goods. It doesn't invalidate you. It doesn't make you less of a person in any way. It does not mean that you're weak. Anybody can have a mental health challenge. I may not look to people like somebody who's been on a mental ward. I was on a mental ward. I've written about it in my book, Hard Girl for Dead. The amount of things that I have experienced because of mental health challenges would be unthinkable to people. And guess what? It can happen to you too. It's not a thing that happens to me because I may have a genetic predisposition or some environmental challenge or whatever. It can happen to you. As I say, it's a spectrum, it's a continuum. You can be fine today, you can lose your job tomorrow, you never have no savings, bam, you have a problem. You can be fine today, your husband cheats on you, your wife cheats on you, you don't know how to deal with it, you have a problem. You can lose a child, you can lose a limb, and your mental health can shift down on that spectrum. And it doesn't have to do with you being weak. It doesn't have to do with your ability to better deal with or not deal with the situation than John Brown and Jane Doe. It's just life. And I also want to just use one final example, and it's something that I noticed yesterday when I was on the road running some errands. And I saw one particular young lady a couple of times. And I noticed her because I was like, why am I see that girl everywhere? I don't know her. But I started to pay attention after the third time because I was like, all right, there must be a reason why I see this girl. So I saw her in Ligani, I saw her in Halfway Tree, and then I went up to Papi inside, I saw her again. Someone said, oh, that girl here. So I started to pray the girl. Yes, I started pray the girl. And I noticed about her, one, that she was really attractive, and two, that she was getting a lot of attention because she was really attractive. I saw the first time, like, people were paying her some mind, and she was like, okay, yeah, thanks, being polite and stuff. Ladies, we all do it. The next time I saw her, she looked kind of miserable. I saw people kind of just ogling her, but nobody approached her. The third time I saw her, somebody approached her and she snapped. And I thought to myself, that person, like the way that him answered her, I couldn't hear what he said, but I could tell whatever he said was to the effect of her being a bitch. And I thought to myself, I had the privilege of seeing this girl from morning. She's not a bitch. She's just tired. And that can be any one of you. Like, we all have a limit. And the outside world doesn't know what your limit is. And they cannot tell you what your limit should be. And you want to know that. If you wake up this morning and you drink a cup of tea and somebody step on your toe and you thump them, are your limit that? That's just how it works. Your limit, for some people, 5 years a step on toe them I forget before them punch the person. And for you, 5 minutes. So just understand that we're all, as much as we are all the same and on the same spectrum, we all manage things differently. And our timing is not the same. And once you understand that and know that you're always in balance, no matter what you think is going on, even if it feels like something I hit the wall, as Kelly said, I really love that reframe. You're being repositioned. So it may seem like, say, the world is ending. But I am here today because every single time I thought the world was going to end, it did not. That is why I'm here. I can tell you, there was a time when I have had suicide attempts. One of the times I was successful. I was out for 30 seconds. I was not breathing. I had no life. I'm not a dopey right now. I'm there. Right? So I'm just here to remind you that whatever you're going through, you have already survived all of your worst days. So just give thanks. And remember that when I becomes we, illness becomes wellness. That's not my quote. I would love if it were. Me don't know who said it. I find it online, but it's shut. So I run with it. Thank you.